Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
Hey, George, could you do me a favor? Check your left breast pocket. You're going to find a
He's
cassette
just feeling
tape.
himself up.
Oh my
I need
God.
you to take that cassette tape, put it in Travis's mouth. Now stick with me. This is very important.
Okay, come over here, Travis.
We just watched the movie Saw from 2004. George, how you hanging in there, man?
Oh boy, he's shaking
You
his
following the
head.
rules?
Following the rules.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good one, I think, because this
Oh.
is my first time watching this movie as well.
Really?
Whoa, hold on. Excellent. Cool. Well, hey, everybody else has already seen this movie. Let's do something a little different. Let's get right to the meat of it. Let's talk about the end of this movie. Guys, if you haven't seen the end of the Saw,
Spoiler
pause
alert.
this stuff. Go watch it real quick. It's a quick watch. And come on back. We're going to start
That
at the
it is.
end and work our way to the beginning. George,
We're gonna Tarantino
Yeah.
this.
Travis,
Yes,
Mhm.
sir.
he was in the room the whole
whole
time.
Time.
So corny.
It was like it's like they took that scene in what Hannibal Lecter did, that scene from Silence of the Lambs,
Yeah.
and they built the whole movie around that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. And at the
They
time,
did that.
it was amazing. And I watched it today and
Yeah.
I was just like, man, the number of things that had to go exactly right for him not to get found out until the end of this movie.
Right.
Bit unrealistic. Good thing the guy who has a cough from a terminal disease didn't cough once for the
Right.
course of the movie.
Yeah. It started as colon cancer.
And then the guy who
Didn't he have it in his brain by the time he was
it
laying
was
on that bed?
and all he has is a little cough.
he had a little flicker.
flicker.
He had a little clicker to turn on the electricity on those guys, and nobody noticed him reaching for the
Mm.
clicker when he buzzed
No.
them.
Mm.
That's a little interesting.
All right.
My biggest problem is that every time they got shocked, which is what they got, they said they got electrocuted.
Yeah.
You
You're not alive
survived, yeah.
after.
No.
Yeah,
I
you're
knew
not
you were
alive
gonna
after you
nitpick
get
that.
They were
electrocuted.
tased.
That's
They got tased.
in my notes.
Yeah,
actually.
basically. They got shocked.
Don't tase me, bro.
They got zapped.
They got zapped.
Now, did you watch this in 4K like I did? This was my first time
I
getting
wa-
to see it in 4K.
No, I watched
No.
it on Prime.
I
and
watched it.
Stars.
I watched it the way it's supposed to be watched. I watched it flat, regular DVD. What's the square aspect?
Oh, yeah,
Full
yeah,
screen.
standard, like 4:3.
Yeah, full screen.
I mean, that
yeah.
is how we all watched it the first time, so you're not
Yeah.
wrong to do it that way.
Are we talking about the good things first, or are
Let's
we
talk
going to
about
talk about the bad
the
things?
whole thing, man. The movie's a mixed
Okay.
bag, but it's got some real good stuff.
All right, the whole time I'm watching this movie, especially when I finally meet the Danny Glover cop. The whole time I'm thinking this would have been in the hands of a good director writer that I enjoy and can handle subject matter like this, like a I don't know who the writer of Seven was, but
This movie doesn't hold a candle. to
no,
Seven.
but what
But
think
it
about
loves Seven.
it
It
loves
does.
Seven.
It does.
If they gave this material to the people that made Seven and made it a sequel with the Morgan Freeman character instead of Danny Glover,
Mm-hmm.
I would have been all on board.
Danny Glover could have played him. It could have been like, oh, that dude's retired or died, and this is his brother.
No, I don't want the
And
brother
he's the
thing.
same-
I want the essence of
You want the same character.
the Morgan Freeman character from Seven. I want that essence in this movie.
Do you want it to be an actual sequel, though?
Well, it could have been.
Okay.
With the subject matter of this movie, another serial killer taking it up a notch, not killing people, but making other people kill each other, kill themselves, the whole puzzle thing. It would have been a good second serial killer to deal with. And he's different enough from John Doe where it would have been a good story. So the whole time I'm sitting there watching it going, okay, the story is there, but the handling of I'm not a big fan of James Wan. I've learned that over the years. This is him early, but I'm hardly a fan of his, so I get it. That's probably why I wasn't feeling it.
Well, and the guy who
'Cause-
plays Adam, who's the other guy
Yes.
in the bathroom. He's a director now too. He did the remake of The Invisible Man,
Okay, which is good.
and it was real good. But he's maybe
Yeah.
not the strongest actor in 2004.
No.
There were parts that I thought, "Oh, Travis is gonna love this movie because that guy's not a good
no.
actor."
I think they were good until we're gonna start calling it the Katie Holmes, Maggie Gyllenhaal syndrome. Neither of these guys were equipped, and I love Cary Elwes, but he's not equipped to do emotion.
Hey George,
He's
did you
always-
recognize the doctor guy?
the guy who saws his foot off?
Yeah, I recognized him, but I don't know what from. Have I seen him before?
I would think so.
I mean, in the movies
I don't
that
think
we've
we
done
watched
for the
anything
pod.
with him, did we?
No, we almost watched one of the movies with him in it, but we moved on to
Okay.
something else. But you have probably you've probably
You've
seen,
seen Princess Bride, right?
Princess Bride.
Yes.
He's Wesley. Wesley.
Oh my God, that's Wesley.
Yeah.
He's so old.
As you
So he's playing
wish.
as you wish, but he's playing Wesley. He doesn't have much range. He's in Twister. He's always
Oh
Cary.
yeah, he is in Twister.
He's
isn't he?
always Cary Elwes. Any movie he's in. So when you're asking him to do emotion, it seemed like, especially like when he's dying, he was playing it. He wasn't being it. So it's like, I'll come back. Like all those lines, it didn't land because he was acting.
right.
Well, and if you
And he
think he
wasn't-
looked old in this movie, just wait till you see him in Stranger Things. When I legitimately asked my wife, "Who's the guy that's acting just like Wesley from Princess Bride?" And she's like, "I don't know." And we looked up, we're like, "Oh God,
It's that guy.
he's so old." And there's been
Well,
so
what
much cosmetic
season-
surgery.
What season Stranger Things are you talking
I
about?
believe it's season 3. He's like the town
3.
mayor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I watched the first season,
He's
and
like
when it ended,
Almost
like,
unrecognizable,
"You're
except
out."
that he still acts exactly the same. So I thought
Okay.
it was somebody doing an impression.
Well, the whole show pretty
I'm-
much ruins our childhood.
I'm never gonna see him in season 3 of Stranger
No,
Things.
you
That's
won't get
never
there.
going to happen.
But Winona Ryder looks like shit, and so does Sean Astin, who's Rudy slash kid
Yeah.
from Goonies.
It's just holding a
Like-
mirror up to your face, saying,
Yeah,
"This
the
is how
whole show
old
just
you are
basi-
now."
Yeah, it's like, look, these are all the people you grew up with. But yeah, that I couldn't get past that, and I never ever liked Danny Glover's acting. He's not a very good actor either. He's Danny Glover. I love his movies, but he makes Arnold look like Olivier. Like he's just like he doesn't act.
Well, and he was
I think-
too old for this shit in the 80s.
He was
and,
too old for this shit.
And
yeah.
this is
He
2004.
seems like he's confused all the time
But because he can't act,
in a lot of roles.
right?
I like everything I've seen him in. He looks confused.
Yeah. Well, half this movie was the ending of Predator 2. I was waiting, like,
I don't recall Predator 2.
but him in this movie, I watch him and I'm like, if this was handled by a Morgan Freeman
Mm-hmm.
or a Denzel, because Denzel did a few serial killer movies as
Yep.
well. The character they created has enough going on and enough depth where
Mhm.
you can really put your teeth into it, but Glover does not.
Yeah,
I like the sidekick though. His partner was cool.
What you're saying is bringing me to the same point that you already made, which is a Seven sequel. Like his character is cool enough, and there's enough there that you could have developed his his venturing into Crazy Town.
Yeah.
From being a cop to being crazy, not a cop. That would have been cool,
Mhm.
like a cool side plot to this. They
Well-
didn't really develop it. It was just, he got his throat slit, and then, later on he was crazy.
Right.
Well, I don't know if he was crazy. He was just obsessed.
But this suffers from, you can tell this is the new 2004 to 2020 kind of horror. Like Seven and Fallen, like
What
all these 90s horror
What year was
movies.
7?
Seven was 95, I think.
Okay.
And Fallen and Bone Collector
Ooh, and
all those
Resurrection.
movies.
Don't forget the Vinegar Syndrome recently released Resurrection from the late 90s with like Christopher Lambert.
Yes.
Which is amazing. And Aaron was all over my butt for not mentioning it during the 7 episode because they're so good.
Right.
But
Yeah.
one of
so-
those weird movies that Vinegar Syndrome puts out that's like has mainstream appeal. That's a nice way to say not shitty.
Right. Yeah.
Whoa.
But these kind of movies, Saw, Insidious, Paranormal Activity. Like there was an era of the new horror movie where it was almost like 9 Inch Nails videos and like everything was just hyper. Like there's another movie called The Terrifier, which we'll probably never watch, but it basically takes a cool idea and just ruins it by being completely gratuitous. Like this movie to me is gratuitous. This makes 7 look like Psycho.
Now,
'Cause
have
it's-
you nailed down? Have you figured out why, Travis, that 7 doesn't seem so gratuitous, even though it has like your favorite beautiful ball sack and all those other disgusting special effects, but yet it doesn't ever feel as gratuitous as this movie. Have you figured out what the difference is? Because I'll tell you if you haven't.
I just think like the to me it would be the influence of like a Rob Zombie type movie when you watch like House of a Thousand Maniacs and Devil's Rejects. Like those kind of movies kind of made these movies more mainstream. Like this used to be the kind of stuff you would sit up late at night and watch on cable, and it was just like buckets of guts and stuff, and they're pouring it on each other, and there's like to me it's just, I don't know. To me, I don't know what it is that you're going to tell me, but it just seems gratuitous compared to 7.
What I would say, George, do you want to take a crack at it before I tell you what I think it is? I don't have the answer, but I certainly have an answer. Why is 7 so good and like not gratuitous compared to this movie?
To me, I would say, and it's probably not what you're gonna say, but I feel like the gratuity in 7 was kind of like, I don't know, respected. It was like sacred. It wasn't gratuity for the sake of gratuity. Gratuitousness.
Well, think about the guy, the lust
Ugh,
kill.
I try
Yeah.
not to think.
You don't
about
even
that guy.
see it.
True.
You don't see that kill.
No.
You're living it through the guy who did it.
Yep.
So his description, his acting blows this shit away.
Yeah.
And that's the guy you get to play one of these guys.
Yeah,
in
I
this
think
room.
that the violence or the gratuitousness of 7 was for it was for a purpose, a really
I
good
didn't
purpose.
think it was gratuitous.
There was some. It was
Okay,
It
here's the
yeah.
difference. All right,
Go ahead, go.
here's the difference. In 7, they focus on chasing the horrible serial killer in the aftermath of his crimes.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, John Doe is more malicious than Jigsaw because he is the
Yes.
one actively pursuing and actively doing the killing himself, mostly. However, here's the thing. Saw focuses solely on the act itself and the misery caused by the act. It's a shift in perspective from, oh God, look at the aftermath of this horrible thing, to look at this horrible thing as it happens and watch this person's misery. Right? It's
Right.
not focusing on the violence, it's focusing on what eventually will become, in about a year after this one, torture.
Right.
This is the beginning of torture porn.
But I think in 7 that is definitely there. But like you're saying, they don't throw it in your face. But the kills that he does, it's there.
Oh
Like,
yeah, no, what he did was just as bad. Like the John
Yeah.
Doe kills and the Jigsaw kills are comparable levels of horrible. But the movies don't make you watch lust. Don't make you
Right.
watch any of them except for Wrath, right?
Yeah.
But Saw
'Cause you
is
don't
just
see
like,
the-
hey, let's do that part where you watched Wrath, but let's do it like slow and gritty and zoomed in and make you really see that saw blade on that leg, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. That's exactly what I was thinking about 7, where Wrath is the only one that you see, the only kill that you see, and that kill is the culmination
Right.
of the whole movie, is that
Right.
act of violence, seeing the act in the act.
And that's why I say
is
it's
the
not
culmination of the
gratuitous
And that's why I say that they treated it
with respect.
with respect.
Right.
Like they took this thing, which is watching someone perform the act while it's happening, that is the culmination of
Right.
7, right? And I think you're right, Dan. Seeing things after they happen is a lot different than seeing them while they're
Absolutely.
happening. But 7 just respected.
But think about it. Gratuitous would have been if we were in the camera watching Pride happen, watching
Right.
her cut her nose off,
Right, exactly.
Yes.
sitting in the room watching Sloth happen.
And we had
all those
in
photographs
7 that we had flashbacks to these things while they were happening. In some
Slightly.
cases,
Yeah, slightly.
little bits.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just enough.
But
It was
to me,
respectful.
gratuitous is, if it's necessary, then I don't consider it gratuitous. But if it's not necessary, then I'm like, okay, you're just doing it for the gore factor.
I mean,
And
is it ever really necessary?
I think in 7 it was necessary.
I
mean, everything that you see in that movie is necessary.
Yeah, you need to
everything
see
you
it, yeah.
think you're seeing but didn't see, but you're thinking it, is necessary.
right.
In this, it's
I'm
like
just thinking of like the old Hitchcock, the knife and the sound. You don't see it, but
right.
It's
This Saw is a venture away from that mentality.
Sure,
This is
absolutely.
like, okay, because they could have really gotten away. They could have done almost like a Ransom type thing, the movie Ransom, with the mother and the daughter. Like, they didn't even have to show that. Just that photograph alone in his wallet should have been enough.
right.
You didn't have to ever go to that room, because to me it got cheesy.
It did.
And it started off like, because it's before you see any of the actual like torture misery, but the scenes with the wife and the daughter and the gun and the phone call are played in such a way that the thing that it is featuring is human misery again. Like, it's just, they call it torture porn because the movie that follows this one in the mainstream is Hostel, which was gnarly. Better than it should be, I would say, but gnarly and not a little bit unnecessary, but better than the critics of the time would have told you. But still, it's the main conceit is let's look directly at misery and exploit it, which is something different than they'd ever done in the slashers. In a lot of ways, George, I don't know if I know you're not probably familiar with the timeline, but Scream reinvigorates the teen slashers, and we get those basically through the beginning of the 2000s. But then The Ring comes out in 2003.
Yes.
And that changes everything. And then you think, okay, well, we're done with slashers for a while. We're going to do these like Japanese
Paranormal
remake J-horror type things, which are cool and different. And then Saw comes out the next year, and it's just like, oh, now this made money. So we're going to have two branches of horror for the rest of the early 2000s, where it's either torture porn or a remake of a Japanese movie, but, adjusted for the American market.
Asian monster ghosts.
Yeah, well, that's true. They remade quite a few Korean movies too at the same time. So
The Grudge. Yeah, they did a few.
So I found the part in the movie where they do the whole revolver thing. I want to watch it again real quick.
yeah, do a quick review of his tactical prescience.
He goes
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, he turns it
Definitely,
to the right.
definitely 100% is in the cylinder
too
to
far.
the right of
Yeah.
the barrel.
Yep,
Yeah.
he overdoes it. He's got
And then,
6.
hold on.
How many
Let me
times
see-
does he
let me
click
see
it?
what he
though?
does.
How
Hold
many-
on.
Does he click it?
All right, so now the barrel is in.
Yeah.
Or not the barrel. The
The
cylinder is
cylinder's
in, and he spins it what direction?
The hammer's back.
No, hold on. He doesn't spin it at all.
No, you hear a grind, so he does spin
Hold
it.
on, let me.
All right.
No, hold on, let's go back. Hold on.
It's as he's feeding the cylinder back into the gun, he advances it one.
He's going back. Back and to the left.
Okay. Bullets in. It's too far. And he spins it again. Now the bullet's at like 3 o'clock.
So he's got a
Yeah.
like 4 clicks before he's going to get a shot if it advances
And that
every
brings
time.
it around one more time. Right. He cocked the hammer, which was already cocked.
Which turns the. What?
He already had the hammer back. So he cocked the hammer again.
Is there continuity issues here?
Yeah.
Hold on.
I'd
let me
say
see.
we have some continuity issues.
Oof.
Oofa. Well, the guy did cut his own foot off.
Buzz, your girlfriend. Woof.
Woof. Buzz, you're editing.
How many times are we
Woof.
going to watch this?
By the magic of
Okay,
editing, just the right amount of
in.
times.
He spins it the wrong way.
It's already
the hammer
back.
is already back, and it goes back even further.
Okay, he had it semi-cocked.
I don't know.
And he dies awfully fast for a body shot.
Okay. Also, by the magic of editing, like you said, Dan, the bullet that was in the, say, 1 o'clock position that got spun to the 3 o'clock position, when you look at the gun from I would say, the shootie's point of view, there's no bullet in that cylinder,
Nice.
obviously, because
So-
it couldn't be. If it was there, the gun wouldn't go off. Yeah, it's exactly how I remember it. When I watched it, I said, that's wrong. That is wrong. They're going to screw this up. It is. They screwed it up, and I just continued with my
He
life.
should have just. That would have been cool to see him pull the trigger 2 or 3 times until the bullet made its way around. That would have been fun.
That would have been cool, actually. I would have been surprised. That's something Tarantino would do.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the
Right.
kind of character development we don't get in this movie. Because you
Right.
have all
Right.
these characters who are at face value, but they never give you any like depth at all, you know? And that would actually
None.
establish, hey, Doctor What's His Butt doesn't know how to use a gun, but he's so desperate
all,
to
right.
save his family. You know, that would have been a great moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if he just pulls the trigger, this thing's going to go off eventually.
And it
you
would have
know.
been tension for the other guy, for Adam.
Right.
Like, just to hear that click, click, click.
Like, he's serious.
Yeah.
This isn't pretend.
Yeah,
This
and
isn't
you could
play.
escalate
He's actually...
Wesley's, Dr. Gordon's, you know,
Wesley.
you could
God, Wesley.
escalate his own, like, you know, trouble dealing
Yeah.
with this idea that I'm about to take a human life, and oh God, I'm going to take
Yeah.
a human life. Oh man, that is an Oscar clip, and they didn't even.
Hidden inside of
Buttwork too.
muck.
You know what would be great is if, you know, say there's 6, obviously 6 bullets, right? 6 slots.
Yeah.
If he goes through like 4,
Chambers.
and then you think he decides that he's just not going to
Yeah.
keep going,
And then boom.
and then he goes, fuck it, and boom. And that's the one.
Yeah.
That would be good.
But in this kill seems weird because he already, in his mind, thinks that his family's been killed.
Why does the dude act dead?
I think he's kind of voyeuristic. They've established early that he
No,
enjoys sitting
I'm
and
not
watching
talking about the dude that's been there the whole time. I'm talking about the dude that got shot in the shoulder.
Yeah, why does
Oh.
Adam?
He just got shot in the shoulder.
why is he not
He should
writhing
be-
around in pain, going, "Oh God,
he should
you
be
shot
in
me.
immense pain.
it. Yeah.
That was
but
your one
instead-
bullet, and you didn't kill me, you idiot." Like,
Yeah.
well, I think that you would
Instead, he
chalk this up to
pretends-
plot reasons, right?
Yeah.
Forget plot
It's the
armor. He had plot sleepy time.
It's the baby. It's the baby in Dan's movie. It's a plot device.
Yeah. The baby.
The baby.
Baby's only there for one reason.
Yeah. I don't know. I wanted to like it because it's so beloved.
It is beloved. Man, people love Saw, and it like spawned a
Yeah.
huge franchise that's almost as big as like the Jason and Halloween movies. They've got like 8 or 9 of
Yeah.
them now.
Also, the entire time this movie's going on and they're showing you the face of who is supposed to be, quote unquote, you know, the guy behind all this.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to show you dude's face.
The orderly?
The
You
orderly.
know it wasn't the killer because they established he was an
Well,
orderly.
actually, I saw the orderly's face. It's quick, right? And I guess they kind of allude to it like a little bit, but if you're not paying attention, you won't get it. Well, I did, but it is possible that like someone who is an orderly might just be playing an orderly to get close to this person that he's going to kill.
See, I was watching it knowing Tobin Bell is the real killer. Like, I know who Jigsaw is because of
Okay.
knowing horror movies and going to conventions, whatever. I know who Tobin
Okay.
Bell is.
Well, I have no
Right.
clue, 0 clue at all. And watching this movie, all of the what do you call it? Like the red herrings that were thrown his way.
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm not buying it the entire time. It's like, this is not.
He wasn't smart enough to be this calculated. I think what's cool about me knowing that he's not the killer,
Mm-hmm.
I was still watching it not knowing this movie, not knowing the reveal at the end. The whole time I'm watching this movie, I was like, when is Jigsaw going to show up?
Exactly.
I
Oh,
know-
really? You didn't know
Yeah.
that?
So I was like, okay, and I never suspected him being Hannibal Lecter laying on the floor. I thought that I knew, they were establishing the bullet, and he needed that gun. He needed the tape recorder. That's why I thought that guy was there. I didn't think he was the killer. But I did look out the whole time, same thing when watching 7, trying to find if I could see Spacey.
Right.
This whole movie, I'm sitting here watching. I'm like, I don't see him yet. I kind of thought he was the guy in the bed. Because laying in the hospital bed, I said maybe that was him because it kind of looked like him.
Mm-hmm.
And then they obviously show you the M. Night Shyamalan reveal later that it was him.
Mm.
But yeah, I was still surprised by the reveal.
I love that he had colon cancer in his brain. And that
yeah.
his one side effect or his one symptom was a cough. I love it.
Hey, so
good for
I
movies.
noticed something today watching it on the 4K for the first time that blew me away, but you never would have noticed it the first time. When you see him in the hospital, he's got like a notepad on his desk. So I rewound it and paused it. It's a diagram of the bear trap face thing.
Oh, is
just
it?
like out in the middle of the room, right at the beginning. Now,
the reverse bear trap.
It's amazing as like a little Easter egg or whatever for your second or third time through. I really like that. But to think like, yeah, he's sitting in a hospital with like orderlies and nurses and doctors around drawing the murder weapon that the police are asking about. Like, guys, I don't know if that passes muster.
And what gets lost in the timeline is he's laying in the hospital bed, right? Is that before or after?
Because of his severe cough.
Right. Is that before or after he commits the earlier murders where Glover gets his throat slashed?
Whatever makes for the best movie, Travis.
I think,
because
no,
did he get
because
sick after committing those murders?
Hold on. I remember this. While he's laying in the bed,
right,
the orderly comes in, and they're talking about his condition. The doctor is talking about his condition and looking at an X-ray, and maybe I'm wrong again.
I think it's before because he did get slashed.
I think it's at that time he gets pulled out to go to the police station. So bear trap had already happened.
Bear trap happened.
Are we sure? Let's rewind.
Bear trap happened, but did the scene?
Oh, by the
where
way, it's
Glover,
reverse bear trap.
Reverse bear
trap.
But the scene where Glover's partner gets shot and he gets his throat slashed, is that before or after bear trap?
And the pin light isn't found at bear trap, is it? It's found at Razor Blade. Or do I have that mixed up?
It is. No, you're right. It's razor wire, yeah.
So here's what I'll tell you.
Writing.
I can't watch this movie without seeing Wesley.
I'm not sure
now
if it's going to, like, I haven't ever gone through and like broken down the timeline, Wendy theory style to see if it actually works out without cheating. But I will say, while you're looking at that, the guys that made this movie really like Dario Argento. Can we all agree?
Yes.
I can.
Yes.
And I don't even know shit about Dario Argento.
You know what else I noticed?
And I know that.
Dan, I was gonna text you.
Oh.
When I was watching this, I saw I felt a lot of Black Christmas as well.
Yeah. The voice is very Black Christmas.
The phone calls, the voice, and then the eyeball in the closet, all that stuff. I was like, okay, we watched this. We've seen this before.
Yeah, and it had a lot of Texas Chainsaw, know, and like, God, the camera flash sound. I'm like, yes, here we go. We're doing Chainsaw, and then the giggly puppet, just like in Deep Red. The green gel light, which is very Bava, but also very Argento, depending on where they saw it. Hell, even the razor wire comes straight out of Suspiria, but is like way better in this than in Suspiria, where usually the people laugh when they see it for the first time.
It reminded me of Hellraiser too, the razor room.
So yeah, I mean it's not bad. I would never say that Saw 2004 is a bad movie, but it's ambitious in a way that I don't know that it can live up to.
All right, hold on a second, guys.
But don't you agree this would be a good sequel to 7 if they gave it to Fincher?
If they did it right.
If they gave it to Fincher, I think it would have been.
Here's the thing. The killer's motivation in here is unclear.
Yes.
I think that a beautiful story is that the killer is killing because these people don't appreciate their lives.
And he's terminal.
That's
why I thought it was.
That is kind of what it is, but there's so many things in there that just don't make sense with that.
I know what you're saying.
They're not in line with that.
Right. Because like Dan
MO.
said, they didn't bother to do character development where you're going to give a shit. They just throw you into the situation without establishing anything. You don't really know why anybody's doing anything,
Right.
and then you're slowly given information.
Yeah, but it would have been good to, to have a killer that is clearly his motivation, and I don't like that, like, if that's his motivation, to make people that survive his games appreciate their lives more. Why does he make them kill other people?
Right.
Like,
That's a very good point.
I don't like, that's not consistent. I don't.
Is it some kind
I
of
don't
thing where
like
it echoes his own murdering of people to make other people appreciate their own? Like, is there something in that relationship that could be expanded upon? I don't know.
I mean, because if this is his motivation and he sticks to it and it's clear, then you have an actual moral dilemma here.
Right.
Reverse Bear Trap Girl was a drug addict who turned her life around
Right.
because of this.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it reminds
So
me
you-
of the way that V treats his captive in V for Vendetta, where it's like, ugh, I don't know that I can really endorse what you did to her, but I see that you got the outcome you were looking for.
Right.
Right.
But
It also
just
reminds
add
me
to
a
that,
little bit.
make her like cut somebody open and pull a key out of them. And it's like, well, that's extra unnecessary.
Yeah, it's exactly. I mean, the much more simplistic form of this is Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right.
I can't get past the spiral on his cheeks, though.
Okay, when they're right before they go to, before he gets Glover gets his throat slit, he's watching a video. What kill is the video from? Do we remember?
It's from her. It was
It's
the
from
video
Bear
from
Trap
Bear
Girl.
Trap, Reverse Bear Trap.
And so, what was your question before? What happened first?
him being declared terminal in the hospital? Where does that fall? Was he a serial killer that got sick? Did he become a serial killer because he was terminal? Like, they never really established. Like you're saying, that's a great moral compass that they're giving this character. Like,
It's
he's
still
terminal.
It's still totally jacked up, but
Right.
it works.
He's terminal, and he's making people, basically declare life sacred by making them kill each other. I'm not really sure how that is, but yeah, I'm not really sure when that terminal scene falls in the storyline. Like, is that before or after he gets his throat slashed? Is that before or after the partner's dead? Is that before or after he's kicked off the force? Like,
And I say whatever makes the
Okay.
most sense for the story is probably what they intended.
Here's Bear Trap Girl, right? Explaining what she reverse Bear Trap Girl. And here he is in the police station, and I want to see when he gets pulled into the police station. What is he doing? Okay, hold on. He's explaining.
the timeline would be able to see. We would know more if we could see Glover's neck, because they establish he's got a scar.
Oh, I see the secretary looking at him now.
Well, it's obviously before he gets his throat slashed because his partner's standing right there.
It may.
Or sitting
I
with
think
him.
it would make more sense if there was some time between the initial interaction with him, so that you build up this Danny Glover wants to stalk him because he really thinks this is Jigsaw guy, and you got
Yeah.
Danny Glover with the recovery from the injury, and likely like a disability retirement or something, so he has free time on his hands.
Okay, so the more we talk about this movie, the more I don't like it. Okay, so Danny Glover gets his throat slit, right?
That's after this.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And in the bathroom, right? Dr. Gordon
Mm-hmm.
states that he was pulled in what amount of time ago?
6 months ago? 6 weeks ago?
Was it 6 months? I don't think it was that long.
Okay.
So in that time, Danny Glover got his throat slit. It healed into a scar,
Mm-hmm.
and he got fired from the force and went crazy and stalked this dude and completely covered the apartment walls with pictures and other garbage.
Right.
In that amount of time.
That's epic.
Don't like it. Don't like
No,
it.
sir, I don't like it.
All that happened way too fast. His throat didn't look fresh enough for that to be that
Right.
amount of time.
When he was awful crazy. Like that, the crazy he was exhibiting is not like, I just got out of the hospital and now I'm obsessed crazy. That was like 2 years of I've been obsessed and haven't made any headway crazy.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't know.
like it.
I don't know if it. I don't know if it holds water. But
This also makes me angry that Dina Meyer is in the beginning and then is not in the rest of the movie. Like, she would have been somebody that should have been in this movie more as well.
does she
The,
pop
the
up in
other
one
cop.
of the sequels though? Because
I don't know,
they got a lot of sequels to do.
but I like her. And when I saw her, I was like, oh, cool, she's in this. And she's only in the razor blade scene, and that's it.
Well, and Reverse Bear Trap Girl, which really, it's funny. It's Reverse Bear Trap, but basically it's just like a Jaws of Life on your face, which is kind of funny. Ew.
Would that be Jaws of Death?
I mean, it depends
Jaw-
on if you get it off your face or not, I guess.
Yeah.
The lady that survives that, she was on Becker, which was a sitcom I used to watch back in the day. So it was really weird to see like the goofy secretary from the doctor's office show up and be like, you know, all of that. It's a lot of.
What's funny with her is when I was a kid, there was a movie called Summer School, and it was a Mark Harmon movie, and I always loved it because there was 2 characters in it that were special effects geeks, and they were like one kid's name was Chainsaw, so they were like huge movie. They were kind of like Randy from Scream in Summer School, and that girl, the girl, Reverse Bear Trap Girl, is in that movie, and they put a nice little makeup contraption on her, which reminded me of this movie. I was like, oh wow, she's in this. It was a nice little throwback.
I'm trying to find the scene where he says how long ago it was he was at the police station.
You know, this
I
movie
think
has
it's
a
this one.
few.
Lots of heavy breathing here.
A lot of heavy breathing.
Movie has a lot
Lots of
of plot holes, but again, it's like one of the first movies made by these guys. So like,
Yeah.
this is better than my first movie would be. So I'm not gonna throw too many stones.
Oh yeah.
But one thing that I thought was a killer touch, and I didn't catch it. I think again, watching it on DVD full screen back in the day, I just wasn't tuned in enough to the details. But the idea that the partner, is like wading through these gross spider webs, and in the spider webs is a tripwire. Like,
Right.
Mhm.
that's a good touch. That's
Yeah.
that's like the best moment of the movie, because it's like, yeah, you wouldn't see that.
It's something Kevin McAllister would have done.
It did have a real Home Alone vibe, man.
Now, in that, okay, so that scene, this is my problem. The dude had that set up already, right?
Right.
Just in case someone came into his apartment through the front door.
Or just in case the guy in the chair managed to escape without following the rules.
Ah, okay.
That was really bad
Second-
police work. Now that you bring up the scene with the drills, like, just shoot
Yeah.
Jigsaw and then shoot the drills. But no, let's stand here and try to hold it. Oh, God, that was like brain bashing. I was not.
I have to look at that contraption. I'm sure that I could figure out how to disable it in about 2 seconds.
Yeah. I do have to say,
Without violence as well.
the scene where Jigsaw comes out of the back seat of the car and like creeps up, that was a little creepy.
Yeah, what did that
When
remind
he's wearing like a pig face.
That reminded me of
The
something.
pig face
Yeah, it
the
was
way he
wild.
was creeping.
Yeah, it reminded me of something like out of a Marilyn Manson video, but it did remind me of Samara from The Ring a little bit. Like
It reminded me of it's an alien from something that I've seen.
Okay.
The alien moves that way.
Yeah, it was cool to see that. It was almost like, I'm like, what the hell is getting out of the car? Because almost like I was struggling, and then I realized, oh, he's slinking. He's trying to like
Slinky.
slither up to him. But yeah, it's just this movie. God, I wanted to like it so bad.
Had you watched it in 2004, I think you would have. But I think
Yeah.
we're just too far past it. It feels so 2004 as far as like, it's like angsty in a way that they don't make movies nowadays, and the focus on the misery is really too much. I mean,
Yeah.
I like Hostel, the first one. I need to revisit the second one because after I hadn't seen it since college, but now that I'm a fan of the Jalo, one of the main ladies from the Jalo shows up in 2. So I
Okay.
want to go back and give it another shot. But the first one's a legitimately good movie. It's just crass.
Yeah. It's that kind of movie where you're just like, you gotta, I don't know. I think if they cast somebody different as the two guys, I think I might have liked it a little bit more. But I was just, they were all over the place, so then I was all over the place, and I'm like, the most emotional parts of the movie, they were the most comical, and I wasn't feeling it.
No, I
It's a
sent you
shame 'cause
guys.
I like him.
I sent you guys a link to a scene from Urban Legends Final Cut, which came out in 2000. If you want to know where the Saw bathroom comes from, you should check out that clip.
I've seen Urban Legends. Is this the one with Gayheart? What's her first name?
This is the second one, not the original with Pacey
Rebecca.
from.
Oh, it's the second one. Okay.
This movie is hot garbage.
What movie? Saw?
Yeah.
Do we discuss why we watched it?
Not yet.
Okay.
Any movie where you're going to have two guys stuck in a room dialoguing the entire time, you have to have masterful actors
Yes.
doing it.
You need Tom Hanks?
Like, I think of like Glengarry Glen Ross, right? I don't know. It just, you can't have these two in a room together dialoguing the entire time.
No.
It's terrible.
You've not
There's
seen
a
enough like mediocre movies yet, George, to where you'll appreciate
That's true.
where Saw actually does like succeed, because you're used to watching either shit movies or really good movies. You're just not ready to appreciate the good parts of Saw.
A mid-range movie.
Yeah.
There's a movie called Panic Room. It's a Jodie Foster movie. And the whole movie takes place with her and her son or daughter, I can't remember, are in the panic room in their house because someone broke in. There's so much tension.
Yeah.
And you just, kind of like that Green Room movie that we watched. Like, I don't know if George ever watched it, but we watched it because I know Aaron suggested it. I watched it, and when you have good actors doing that kind of room, that kind of scene, it could just be two people. You could watch it for 3 hours if it's done well.
Right.
Like you're saying, this movie, if it had the right actors, you could watch these two go back and forth and get that tension, and you're actually rooting for. I wasn't rooting for either of them. They didn't make either of them likable, so I really didn't care enough if they succeeded, because I really wasn't liking the doctor because they basically made him an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he didn't cheat on his wife, he was still a prick.
He intended to.
And we don't know if he did or not. And the other guy was kind of a lowlife. So it's like, I really didn't care. And they established that he was.
How? In what way?
He's like a stalky, private eye, unofficial.
He's a private investigator.
Is he a private investigator, or does he just take pictures? Does he have a license? I never saw a license.
I don't know. He's acting as a private investigator.
Right. But for some reason, when they first introduced these two characters, they introduced him as the one who's expendable. Put a bullet in this guy to save your family. He's kind of worthless. Then the wife's like, he's lying. Like, they just kind of try to establish that this guy is not on the up and up.
Did we ever have an equivalent, like, this is how Adam gets out of the room thing? Because we know Dr. Gordon is like, oh yeah, kill this guy. But Adam doesn't have an out, right? He is literally the equivalent of the OD'd, passed out guy.
Yes.
Where it's just, this is just meat for you to... Why?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, I could see, like, in a perverted sense, like, okay, you use drugs and you should stop using drugs, and here is your drug dealer, and we've drugged him up. Now you kill your drug dealer, get your key out. I don't know if that's who the guy was, but that would have made, like, some gross, closed system
was that Tim
sense.
Daly? I didn't look it up. Was that Tim Daly?
Who's Tim Daly?
That had his innards extracted to get the key?
Oh, those were good innards, by the way.
They were good innards. Although he did say the key was in his stomach, not in his intestines, but whatever.
Well, she had to get past the intestines to get to the stomach.
You
what
gotta
do
have
we-
an anatomy degree
what
just
do
to
we-
fucking find the key.
Yeah, I know. We were calling those
You're in my liver.
the guts. We were calling that something in the previous
Entrails.
episode. Entrails, yes.
Yeah, entrails.
I like that
I
she
wasn't sure if
doesn't
it was-
try to like open him up. She just straight stabs him a bunch. That didn't make
Yeah.
any sense. But I guess in a
Yeah.
panic, maybe that's the best she can do. I don't know.
But that's another scene that bothered me. I was like, here's another opportunity to take a good tense situation, but you're too quick to the gore. You're too quick to the 2004 horror movie.
Yeah. Like, what are you going to do in that situation?
Show the struggle. This guy woke up. He's not dead.
Well, no, they said that he was overdosed on stuff, so he basically felt nothing. And
But
he
why
was,
do that?
And he was like basically paralyzed or whatever.
That scene is 10 times better if he
here,
pleads for his life.
This is just Walking Dead, right?
Right.
If he's paralyzed and can't really feel nothing or whatever, she doesn't know that.
Right.
Right? So if someone wakes up that you're about to try and find the key in their stomach for, what do you do, Travis? What do you do?
I'm gonna probably cut
What exactly are you going to do when
cut
you
his
realize
throat.
that they're not dead?
Cut his throat,
Okay?
so I'm not struggling with them.
You're
going to
kill him in the most humane way possible
Right.
first.
cut him on the jugular.
And the quickest.
Yeah,
Because
with
you
a
don't have a
scalpel,
lot of
that's all
time.
she had.
You don't have a lot of time. So what are you going
Right.
to do with that scalpel? I'm going to put it in his ear.
Okay.
Right?
All
That's
right.
the first thing I'm going to do. And I learned that from Walking Dead. And then maybe if that doesn't work, jugular, throat, whatever, get this guy dead so I can cut him open.
Get my key. Right.
Right?
You're not gonna jab him in the
I don't
in the
know
stomach.
that this is the official stance of the
I'm not
Remedial
going
Film
to
Class
jab him.
podcast.
I'm not going to
but
jab. What I'm saying is it doesn't make sense. I'm not going to stab him 100 times in the stomach first.
Right.
But it makes
But
it look
again-
like a cool Nine Inch Nails video.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
But I just honestly thought it would have been a cool, because she was already on a time constraint, and now she has to deal with her moral compass. I'm going to not only cut this guy open that I thought was dead, but I have to kill him first
Mhm.
to get that key. My life is more valuable than his. When you make him comatose and you make him not feel anything, or he's over medicated, whatever it was that he said, that cheapens. It cheapens the scene.
Yeah, instead of medicating him or whatever, just have him chained. You know, like spread out and chained. He can't move.
Well, they do it in the bathroom scene. Like it's established. You have to cut your own limb off to get out of here.
Yeah.
You're not choosing to cut someone else's limb off. You have to cut your own limb off. He could have easily established it that, Dr. Gordon, you're going to have to kill this guy to get your family. That was established.
Yeah.
But he never said, but you also have to dismember yourself to even get a chance to get out of here.
Well, guys, I
So-
think since 2008, we've really learned that the correct outcome for this scene was to just assume that Adam wouldn't kill you, and then Adam assumed that Dr. Gordon wouldn't kill you, and
He's
then
gonna
wait
make a
for
Dark
Batman
Knight reference.
to come save you, because that's the way it's supposed to go. And then, you know, there's some good people left in the world, or whatever it is that Batman says.
They're good. And there is a triumvirate in that room.
There
there's
is.
a guy laying on the floor.
Yeah, you've definitely
Right.
got a serious Crassus there with his head kicked in, and
It all goes back to the Dark
Jeez.
it
Knight.
all comes back to the
Holy
Dark Knight.
shit.
Did you guys watch
Nolan.
that clip from Urban Legend Final
Yes.
Cut where the girl wakes up in the Saw bathroom missing a kidney, which is exactly what they describe at the beginning of Saw.
Yes.
Only in the case of Saw, they have a bathroom that is so big that makes no sense except that it has to be the torture room. Like,
Right.
the tub. Why is the tub that far away from the... You know what? I don't even need to know. It makes for a gross place where, everybody's going to get
Yeah.
sepsis before they get out of there anyway.
Dude, I didn't even make that connection, what you're saying, but like nothing about this room makes sense.
Mm-mm.
Not a
like,
bit.
It's a bathroom. Like it could have been like, say, a community bathroom in like
It could have been like a school.
facility. Yeah,
school-
some kind of
yeah,
facility where
bathroom.
like there's multiple showers,
Mhm.
there's like multiple sinks, multiple toilets, and that way you have this much room to work in.
Yeah, and instead you get
There's
one bathroom's
one
worth
tub,
of stuff, and it's a giant
There's
room.
one tub, one toilet, and exposed electrical on the walls.
Yeah. It's like one of those obnoxious bathrooms
In
you see
front
in
of
somebody's mansion where it's like, okay,
Dude, the sewer pipes are in front of the tile.
right.
What? You
Well,
don't.
it has to look dirty and industrial.
It looks like
It
a
has to look
studio
filthy.
apartment from hell.
Yeah. It's like, oh, how do we get the Freddy Krueger boiler room feel?
Yeah.
Well, you got to have pipes.
Gotta get those pipes.
And they got to be rusty, and the toilet's got to be full of just shit.
I hate this movie.
Dan, this is actually making me think that we should watch The Cell. Just a little bit.
I think you're right that we need to watch The Cell. I don't know that that's our next movie.
Right, but I think it
it
fixes
definitely-
a lot of the problems with this movie.
It's something that when we visit it, I think George is going to be like, yeah, this is what Saw should have been.
Yeah.
But maybe he'll hate it even more. So we'll have to test that
I'll
eventually.
It's
probably
got
hate.
Vincent D'Onofrio
I think
on it.
the
There's
more
nothing to hate.
I think the more movies I watch, the more I'll hate Saw. Probably.
We're going to watch Home Alone. I hate Saw.
I mean, there's a lot of Home Alone
I
here
mean,
too, guys.
Every time I
Yeah.
see it, every time I see an iffy movie, I'm gonna say, well, it wasn't as bad as Saw.
There is a Wendy theory on the internet that says that Jigsaw, is Kevin McAllister all grown up.
I mean, it makes sense too,
No.
right? Because when
Yeah.
the two detectives show up, they're kind of Harry and Marv.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
But they could have been Somerset and Mills, or at least Somerset and somebody.
You know, really, if you have to make a sequel to 7, and I don't think you do, but if you have to make a movie called 8, and you keep Somerset around, which I don't hate, you could do something similar, but why would you? You know, that's the first problem.
Because
But
he's such a cool character.
it would be pretty cool if you had him like help out with a completely different serial killer with the two, like basically what you'd have is retired Somerset approached
Yeah.
to help the new Somerset, you know, this
by these
this
guys.
younger, experienced detective, maybe not so close to retirement, and then a Mills hothead guy.
That would have been good if he was like the man in the chair for this movie, where he's like, okay, he was the Hannibal Lecter. He's like giving them the ways to find Jigsaw. That would have been cool.
And that
And it could
actually,
have been
I mean, you could do Mills at that point, like Mills in
In
an
prison,
asylum
yeah.
or in a prison, you know, completely out of commission. That might not be a bad flick either.
This could have been a good sequel to 7 if it was done right.
This could have
That's all
been a
I'm
good movie if it was done right. And really, I think it's pretty good. It's fun, you know. But I think it had ambitions to be 7 or be 8, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
But instead, it
6
really
and a
just
half.
ended up like Halloween 4.
4.
Like,
Wait, Halloween 4 isn't bad.
it isn't. And this isn't bad.
It became Halloween 3, if anything.
Hey, watch your mouth. Halloween 3 is 6.9.
All right, it became Halloween 6.
No, it's not as bad as Halloween 6. But here's the thing. This movie is fine. It's a fine movie, but it's just, it has ambitions to be a great movie. And it's just, I think they were too young to make a great movie.
I agree that it has ambitions. I do not agree that this movie is fine.
What's funny, George, is that this guy, this James Wan, basically becomes horror for the next 10 years. He establishes a universe with Insidious and Annabelle and The Conjuring and The Nun. Like, there's an entire generation of people that are a little younger than you that this man is their John Carpenter.
They're idiots.
And somewhere in the middle, he had time to make Aquaman and a Fast and the
And then he
Furious
made
movie.
Aquaman.
Like,
Right.
he's a really prolific director who does a lot of decent work. But yeah, he's...
Listen, how can you ruin a Fast and the Furious movie? It's like, here, drive fast for 2 hours. Here's a funny line.
Here's a one-liner. Now look cool.
Yeah, no, look cool, stand there. It's like Jerry Bruckheimer, on steroids. I'm not a fan of those movies either. We will not be watching them. Next week, Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, darn it. That was my next pick.
I still don't think that the gore even like
It really wasn't that
doesn't
gory.
It doesn't even get to the uncomfortable level of what I watched last week.
Well, remember, this is not gore porn.
This is early.
This is
Yeah,
torture
this is
porn.
early.
You're not supposed to be looking at the wound. You're supposed to be looking at their face when it looks like, a horrible real murder video. Like the camera is focused at a different thing. The gore isn't the focus.
Did you also notice that that they didn't have any money for like a CGI stump?
Oh yeah, it was just out of
They
frame.
just wrapped it in a rag.
For Wesley. Yeah, they just kept it out of
Wrapped his
frame.
foot.
They were like, "Bye." Like,
Yeah.
He doesn't have a foot. You're just gonna have to trust us.
Look, the tourniquet came loose and covered his foot. That's not there anymore. And it was a really bad tourniquet. Like,
No money. Yeah, it was. It was like.
but not to bring up Walking Dead again, but there was a lot of.
Well, go ahead, because
Okay,
Walking Dead does a lot of good things.
Yes,
they do a lot of things right.
They do a lot of what's in this movie very well. There's a few scenes in the show where they establish if we cut this limb off early, we can save you from the infection. And there are scenes in that show that go to 11 way better than this movie does with the emotion and the cutting and the showing the face of the actor while they're cutting and showing the emotion and the eyes full of tears. Everything that was not able to be achieved by these actors.
Yeah.
None of these guys achieved what half those actors on The Walking Dead
and
do.
If torture is what's on display here,
The Negan
that's what
scene.
you need.
Yes. Prime example. Prime example.
Travis getting excited.
The introduction of Negan, right?
Yep.
When he does the whole thing with the bat.
Everybody
right?
hated that scene.
Okay. But what makes it worse is the introduction of the torture porn in the following episode when he forces Rick to cut his own son's hand off. That scene is a million times better this entire movie.
Yeah.
Because of the face of Andrew Lincoln going through that Sophie's Choice struggle of, am I going to, he's making me cut my own son's arm off.
It's a hand or a life.
A hand or a life.
Yep.
And all you have to do is do this thing. But just to see the anguish in his face, and he does it a few times in the series.
Yeah.
Just that, like when Negan says, "I just slid my dick in your mouth and you said thank you." Like that. That was the quote that established the entire scene of his anguish of being knocked down about 12 pegs because he was the hot shit for 10 seasons.
Yeah.
And he just or seven seasons. And he knocked him down to like -2 in one scene. And that's when he said that to him. Like, that is what this movie wanted to be and was never.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. Because it's a movie and not a TV show.
TV shows have a lot more time for things.
I don't care. It was only like a 6-minute scene. This movie had 2 hours to give
this
me
movie
that.
had 6 minutes.
Didn't do it.
Could have made it an hour.
But Dan
and,
will
49.
never know that anguish because he doesn't watch the
Someday I'll
we'll
catch
never.
up. Maybe.
I mean, I don't watch The Walking Dead anymore either.
No, he does not.
But I will say that the first, I'll even say I think I got it to 7 or 8. Until
when Rick left.
Until Rick leaves.
Right. That's when a lot of people fell
It
away.
was good.
But it's good, but just for a different
and I hate
reason.
the way it ended. Like, it didn't end yet, obviously, but at this time, obviously it'll end at some point. But it really ended when Rick left, and that was disappointing.
Right.
It should have come to a more conclusive just end.
Well, and
when
see, that's the
Rick
problem with TV shows, right? You get the time on these TV series to tell a more nuanced story with way more character development. But season 6, season 7, these guys want to make movies. They want time off.
Yeah.
You're invariably going to lose your strongest cast members.
Yeah.
But the first couple of seasons, definitely season 1, definitely season 2, definitely season 3.
It goes all the way up to 7.
All the way up to Negan. That is a good show.
It's a great
It's
show up
worth
until
watching.
Negan, and it's a good show
worth-
past Negan.
So worth watching.
I keep
But-
holding out hope that I'm going to get Negan as alternate world Batman, but it seems less and less likely every day.
It's possible you might get him in the Flash movie. Because in Flashpoint, I think Thomas Wayne is Batman at some point.
In that one, yeah.
So,
So I'm holding out hope that
you
we
might
get
get
that.
it.
And then if we get that, I hope we get the Joker from Flashpoint too, which would be baller.
He'll walk up to the Joker and be like, "It's PP Pants City here."
Oh, man.
He's like, "Are we pissing our pants yet?" I think we're getting close. Yeah.
I have a
so-
question for you, Travis.
Yes.
What do we watch next week?
Oh shit! I don't know. We never established. Maybe you should text it to me.
We're gonna be watching
A movie.
a movie.
A television show. No, we're not watching a television
No.
show.
We should do a separate podcast and have Dan watch The Walking Dead.
We should have everyone watch Community because it's the best show on television,
Or
and it's not even on television.
mm,
It's on Netflix. But dude, honestly, Dan, one of the characters from Community, he's studying film and he compares everything in his life to movies and TV shows, and he's obsessed with Batman, and I think he's a great character that you will highly enjoy.
I think the Community. You have a higher chance of me watching Community than you do Walking Dead. But I like a lot of the actors in Community, already. So
Mm-hmm.
that's an easy sell, right? Because Donald Glover and Alison Brie are great.
yes.
And Chevy Chase, although I hear in real life, not always
He's a
the
bit
funnest
of a
person to
douche.
work with.
Dude. I love that Chevy Chase was on a sitcom. Like, it's just like, how do they get him to
Russ.
to do that? It's amazing.
I've been rewatching the old SNL on Peacock because I
Yeah.
subscribed to it to watch Seven, and I was like, for the rest of the month, I'm just gonna watch SNL. And he's pretty funny back in the day, but that doesn't surprise me because he's Chevy freaking Chase. But
Okay. So we're gonna watch a movie.
'Kay.
That I don't even know how to describe it. So I'm just gonna tell you. It's called The Ring. Do you know anything about The Ring? We did bring it up a few times.
The Ring.
The Ring. Is that correct? Dan?
Is Frodo in it?
It is not.
Do they eventually get the ring to Mordor and destroy it?
No, but that would be good.
Then no, I don't know anything about the
Okay.
ring.
So that should be interesting. It's a different road we are going down. See if you can handle.
Can you tell me what year it is? I'm going to find out anyway when I go to rent it.
2002.
Is it that old?
Well, thank you for joining us on the Remedial Film Class podcast, which makes everybody our age feel old thinking about how long ago The Ring came out. We'll be back next week with The Ring. You can find us, as always, at facebook.com/remedialfilmpod or at Twitter and Instagram at remedialfilmpod. Be warned, though, from the time this episode launches, you have 7 days until The Ring. Bye!